Os, which art is the best art to learn? Well, I've covered this ground several times. Um, Number one, I think the art that fits you the best is going to be the art you need if you're going to make a primary art, basically. For instance, there are some people that have really, really bad backs, and they're like, man, I can't have people jumping up and down on me, such as in wrestling or jiu-jitsu. Okay, a striking art may fit you better. However, when we look at styles, I look at styles like tools. Which tool will I need for such and such situation? For instance, if I have to deal with two or three, four people, I'm going to need to know how to strike. I'm going to need to know how to parry. I'm going to need to know how to block my way out of this thing. Getting on the ground is probably the worst thing that could happen at that point if you're dealing with several people or more. There are going to be times too that if I end up on the ground, I'm going to need to know how to fight my way out of that particular spot as well. So again, if I'm dealing with somebody coming at me with a stick or a blunt object or an edged weapon, I'm going to need to know how to deal with that situation as well. And a lot of arts don't cover these things. So we want to make sure that whatever art we're in, that if they're in every art, I don't care. A lot of people may argue this point. That's fine. Every art has holes in it, and so if I've got the Chuck Liddell that I can't get a hold of this guy, I can't get him down. I'm going to need to know how to strike out of my way out of the situation, or at least be able to hang. If I've got a Hoist Gracie that took me down and I've got to deal with that, then I'm going to I'm going to know, and I'm going to need to know how to deal with that. And a lot of people will say something to the fact, well, I'll eye gouge him, I'll do this stuff. No, it's not going to work that way. I'll hit him in the groin. It's amazing. People have these, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, easier said than done when you're dealing with people that are masters in these types of fights. So you're going to need to know how to strike. You're going to need to know how to grapple. You're going to need to have some. You don't have to be a master at it, but you're going to need to know some defense. If someone's coming at you with some type of a weapon, I know that the rebuttal to that is always, well, I carry a weapon, I'll pull it if you have time. There may be times you don't have time to pull on them. At the same time, you're going to know you need to know which tool is in your toolbox to deal with what situation. And so again, I always encourage people to learn multiple arts. Learn multiple arts, cross train a little bit. There are in my academy, we learn jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, and a hybrid style that I've put in with kickboxing and karate. So we want to make sure that when we are dealing with situations, that again, I need to know which style I may have to go to deal with that situation. There are a lot, for instance, in grappling, a lot of people in the sport realm don't learn how to counter block kicks, punches, elbows, knees, these types of things. And so if that situation really arises, it may be very difficult to know how to deal with that if it comes. However, on the flip side of that, there are a lot of people that do striking arts that don't deal with the ground at all. So if they're taken down to the ground, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I don't want to make this crazy long, but I would say learn how to kickbox, learn how to box, learn how to use your hands, your feet, your knees, your elbows. Learn the ground. It may not be your forte. You may go, well, I'm going to spend enough time there to kind of learn how to deal with it. Okay, great. but you need to learn have some knowledge. If it does happen, how do I deal with this? And this is something that we see a lot, even in law enforcement. When law enforcement really gets tangled up, sometimes we see that they really don't know how to control anybody. They don't know how to deal with a superb striker, or even if they do get someone down. A lot of times we realize that really quickly that they cannot control this situation at all, and so a lot of times they end up having to go to their tools on their belt, firearm or non-lethal weapons, in order to deal with this struggle that they're in. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's really the tool you need. And so we want to make sure that whatever tool we need is going to be in our toolbox. Let's